On a freezing night when most people kept their heads down and their hearts closed, a single dad with numb fingers and leftover macaroni on his mind did something that would change 4 lives forever. He pulled over at a quiet bus stop and told a shivering soldier 7 unforgettable words. You're coming with me. What happened next will restore your faith in humanity and show that the smallest choices sometimes carry the biggest echoes of courage. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to the channel and like the video, and tell us where are you watching from now. Let's jump into the story. An icy wind prowled through the downtown lanes, bending naked branches and rattling loose signs. Every breath hung in the air like pale smoke. The street lamps glowed weak and yellow as if they too were shivering. No song rose from the closed cafes, only the thin whine of cold tires on old asphalt drifted through the stillness. It was a night built to make strangers shrink into their scarves and focus on nothing but their own footsteps. Inside a warehouse lit by humming strip lights, Ben Rowan stacked the final parcel of his 12-hour shift. His fingers tingled with pins and needles. He flexed them and winced. The delivery truck behind him coughed asleep. He longed for warmth. The thought of home pulled at him like gravity. 2 children, Zoe, aged 8, and her older brother Ty, waited there tucked beneath blankets. Ben pictured a bowl of yesterday's macaroni bubbling in the microwave. He smiled at the simple dream. That dream tasted better than any cafe meal he could afford. He shrugged on a worn coat, missing a button. The zipper stuck halfway, so he yanked it closed with a grunt. The clock above the loading dock read nearly midnight. Payday was 3 days away, and the gas gauge had flirted with empty all night. Ben rubbed the back of his neck and promised himself an extra coffee in the morning if he could find a spare coin. He climbed into the truck. The engine complained, then relented with a rough purr. Radio static offered a lonely guitar ballad. Ben turned the volume low, too weary for songs about heartbreak. Roadside snowbanks stood like crusted walls, frost-painted spiderweb patterns across the windshield edges. Ben steered through familiar streets. He noted each dark storefront, each silent stoplight, counting blocks to home. The heater fought a losing battle. Warm air reached his knuckles, but never farther. He blew into his palms and remembered Ty's science project due Friday. Cardboard volcano waiting for paint. He remembered Zoe asking if macaroni could be a breakfast food. He had laughed and said maybe on Saturday. Little promises warmed him better than the heater ever could. As he turned onto Maple Avenue, a flicker of movement caught his tired eyes. A bus shelter stood beneath a dim bulb. The schedule board was taped with a faded notice. Suspended routes glared in red marker, yet someone sat on the bench as if waiting for a miracle. Ben slowed instinctively. Curiosity overpowered the hum of the engine. Moonlight outlined a small figure hunched beneath an olive-green jacket. A heavy duffel bag rested against thin legs. The figure's shoulders trembled. Breath escaped in sharp bursts. Leather gloves were nowhere in sight. One bare hand traced circles on the bench slats as if drawing strength from the wood. Ben eased the truck to the curb. His tires hissed on slush. He rolled down the window and cold air slapped him awake. "Hey there, you all right?" he called. The figure turned, her face half hidden beneath a cap bearing a simple emblem. Her eyes showed surprise, not fear. She nodded, then shook her head in the same motion. A small smile tried to form, but failed. "Just waiting on the 48, she answered, voice rough with fatigue, supposed to come at 11. Ben glanced at the schedule stapled to the pole and frowned. The 48 stopped running past 10 since last winter's budget cuts. The driver in him knew every route adjustment, knew this shelter had become forgotten by the city and by most hearts. "It is done for the night," he said gently. "I'm sorry." "Where are you headed?" The woman inhaled as though preparing to defend herself, then exhaled in surrender. "Honestly, anywhere warm. My long ride home fell through. No Texas answer out here. Can't afford one anyway." Ben felt sorrow settle beside him in the cab. The same sorrow he had battled on lonely paydays. He opened the door and stepped onto the curb. His boots sank an inch into slush. "I'm Ben Rowan," he said. "I have 2 kids, a couch, and leftover macaroni. "Please come with me." The woman's brows lifted. Her eyes flickered toward the dark streets behind her, as though measuring risk against frostbite. Her hand flexed on the duffel strap. Ben kept his voice calm. No strings, no cost. Just warmth. He pointed at the passenger door. "You can leave anytime if you feel uneasy, but you should not sit here freezing. Every gust steals more strength." The soldier listened. Yes, she was a soldier. Ben recognized the humble chevron on her sleeve, even in low light. She swallowed. "Name's Marie Dalton, Staff Sergeant," she said quietly. "I don't like charity." Ben shook his head. "It isn't charity. It's neighbors being neighbors." Marie studied him. The wind pushed her hair across her cheek. Tiny ice crystals clung to loose strands. Finally she stood, shoulders straight despite exhaustion. "All right," she agreed. "But if your macaroni is awful, I'm blaming you." Ben laughed. "Deal. Macaroni critics ride free tonight." Marie hefted the duffel, yet her knees wobbled. Ben reached but paused, waiting for permission. She allowed him to take one handle. Together, they loaded it into the truck's back seat. Marie climbed into the cab. The door clanged shut. Her breath fogged the window. Ben clicked the heater fan to maximum, though he doubted its power. As he pulled away from the curb, Marie's gaze remained fixed on the empty shelter shrinking behind them. "What made you stop?" she asked softly. Ben thought. "A moment, because someone once stopped for me," he said. The truck rolled onward. Snowflakes spiraled under the street lamps. They drove toward a modest home glimmering faintly on the edge of town. Inside those walls waited 2 sleepy children and a bowl of stubborn macaroni ready for a second life. Neither rider knew it yet. But that small meal was about to feed something far larger than hunger. A story had shifted its gears. Suspense hummed like the engine beneath their feet. And the night itself seemed to lean closer, eager to listen. Ben eased the apartment door open, and a wave of friendly heat rolled over his frozen cheeks. The living room glowed under a single yellow lamp. Crayons cluttered the coffee table like confetti. Marie stepped inside, wiping snow from her eyelashes. She clutched her duffel tight until the warmth convinced her to loosen her grip. Little footsteps pattered, and Zoe slid across the floor in mismatched socks. "Daddy, you brought a soldier," she exclaimed. Mary offered a crisp salute, making snowflakes drift from her sleeve. Zoe copied with the wrong hand, then giggled as Marie gently corrected her elbow. Ty emerged slower, earbuds hanging from his collar. He nodded once. "Good evening, ma'am," Marie answered. "Evening, Private Ty." Ben grinned and steered them toward the kitchen, where a battered pot bubbled. Powdered cheese dusted the air like golden fog. Ben served steaming bowls and instant cocoa topped with stray marshmallows. Zoe fired questions. "Are army boots heavy? Do tanks have bathrooms?" Marie answered yes, like bricks on day one. No tanks stop when they can. Ty listened, leaning closer whenever she mentioned convoy nights or desert stars. With each answer, color returned to her face. Plates emptied. Ben poured cheap tea and asked softly, "Rough trip?" Marie sighed. 3 canceled flights and a shuttle that never came. "My folks eastward are phone ghosts." Ben nodded, understanding the math of vanished support. "Neighbors help neighbors," he said. "Stay here till you find ground." Marie tried to object, but gratitude stole her voice. The countertop vibrated with an unknown call. Marie stepped into the hall and whispered, "Yes, Sergeant, paperwork lost, will resend." "No housing yet." She ended the call and pressed her forehead to cool plaster. Ben dried dishes and approached. "Red tape," he guessed. "Thicker than ever," she replied. Forcing a smile, Ty came bearing lavender sheets and declared the couch a temporary barracks. Zoe delivered a stuffed penguin labeled professional snuggler. Marie laughed. The tension in her shoulders eased inch by inch. Ben dimmed lamps. Cartoons gave way to quiet radiator hisses, snow-tapped glass like shy fingertips. Marie unfolded blankets on the couch and finally removed her boots. Pins and needles burned, then faded. Ben set a small heater near her feet. "The electric bill can scold me later," he joked. Marie traced seams in the penguin's felt beak. Her eyes roamed framed photos of beach days and half-built decks. I build slowly, Ben said, catching her gaze. Some things last, some drift. Marie nodded. Familiar with drift, midnight crept closer. Ty squeezed into Zoe's bunk, leaving the living room to Marie. Ben handed her an extra pillow and whispered, "If you need anything, knock." Hallway light dimmed to sea green glow. "Good night, Marie," he said. "Night, Ben," she murmured. Alone she stared at ceiling shadows. Distant sirens faded. Radiator clicks formed a gentle cadence. She listened to the soft breath of children behind closed doors. Their safety echoed inside her chest, louder than desert artillery. Her grip on the penguin loosened. Trust settling like fresh snow, she exhaled and felt the couch breathe back. The heater hummed steady. In that small apartment, hope unfurled, quiet and bright. No parade, no spotlight, just warmth within four walls. And for the first time that winter, the night felt shorter than the dream of tomorrow. Ben led a short tour so Marie could memorize the quirks of the place. He pointed at a bathroom tap that only stopped dripping if turned sideways. He showed a hallway patch where Zoe plastered hand-drawn planets to hide peeling wallpaper. Marie laughed and lifted Zoe to place a gold star over planet kindness. Zoe beamed, proud of the new discovery. In the closet, Marie spotted a battered toolbox. She asked permission to oil the hinges tomorrow. Ben nodded, grateful. Unseen, Ty watched her test the squeaky lid and smile at the simple challenge. His guarded expression softened, though caution lingered. Later they clustered by the window, watching snow gather like slow-motion surf. Ben teased that school might cancel. Cheers erupted. Marie proposed leading a winter patrol through drifts at dawn. Zoe gasped excitement. Ty tried acting unimpressed, yet his eyes betrayed eagerness. A gust killed the porch bulb. Darkness swept the room. Marie's muscles tensed, searching for dangers long gone. Ben calmly flipped the switch back on. "Muscle memory takes time to rest," he said. Marie released a shaky breath, realizing how safe the apartment truly was. Zoe finally wobbled, tired. "Bedtime," Ben declared. Before retreating, Zoe hugged Marie and whispered, "Thanks for keeping us safe." Ty offered a firm handshake he had practiced in civics. Marie matched it with precision. Beneath the formality, mutual respect took root. Once the kids disappeared, Ben handed Marie a pocket notebook. "If you need to plan next steps, write them down." She held it like a medal. Her future had been fog now. She glimpsed a path lined by friendly walls and the promise of tomorrow. Winter began to loosen its grip, yet chill still lingered along the edges of dawn. In those slow mornings, Marie Dalton rose early to brew instant coffee that filled the Rowan apartment with brave aroma. She had stayed 2 weeks, but already the place felt altered by her steady hands. Ben watched in quiet gratitude as she marked tiny victories: a leaky faucet silenced, a leaning bookshelf anchored, a stubborn homework problem tamed. Solidarity grew in the small kitchen, where laughter now boiled louder than soup. Every act stitched Marie further into the fabric of this household, and the children felt the scene strengthen beneath their feet. Zoe dragged Marie out to the hallway on Saturday after cartoon hour. Together they patched the peeling wallpaper with a bright mural of blooming mountains. Ty studied their playful brushstrokes before offering to outline the highest peaks. He rarely volunteered, but Marie's patience coaxed him forward. She praised his careful, angled lines and saw his shoulders lift. Ben entered carrying a box of forgotten art supplies. He set it down, then paused simply to watch the three of them working. In that tableau he saw courage echo not as loud trumpets, but as quiet persistence. Marie dipped her brush again and said, "Courage is just kindness that refuses to lie down." Those words stayed with Ben like an ember in his coat pocket. Midweek errands took Marie and Ben to the corner grocery, where sleepy neon hummed above dented carts. Aisles smelled of wilted cabbage and floor polish, yet Marie moved with calm purpose. Her duffel, now stored at home, gave way to a borrowed tote bag embroidered with sunflowers. At the checkout line, a gray-bearded man in a navy ball cap cleared his throat and asked, "Soft, you served in the Armor 3rd Brigade, right?" Startled, Marie turned. His eyes shone recognition. "Mr. Lewis, retired field medic," he introduced himself with. A handshake that trembled from old nerve damage. Marie confirmed and they exchanged quick service stories. Then his tone shifted. Housing stipends may be slashed next quarter, they say. Many vets could lose assistance. Marie felt the ground tilt, though her boots stood firm. Outside the store, snowmelt dripped off the awning in nervous beats. Marie confessed. Her worry to Ben: she had planned on applying for veteran housing once paperwork cleared. Now stability seemed fragile again. Ben loaded groceries and reassured her neighbors had options beyond government lines. Still, Marie gazed at empty bikes, chained to a rack, and wondered how many veterans would soon be wheeling their lives into uncertainty. Inside the truck, silence stretched until Ben asked, "Hey, have you ever thought about starting something yourself?" Marie half laughed at the daring thought, then shrugged, unable to dismiss the flicker of possibility. That evening, Marie sorted mail. While Ben reheated stew, envelopes slid across the table in small piles. Utility bill here. School newsletter there. One letter bore the crest of the local Veterans Council addressed to Ben. Marie assumed mix-up with her own forms and opened it. Her eyes roamed the page, then widened. She read of a fire 3 winters prior, an upstairs blaze that trapped Mr. Lewis during a power outage. Ben Rowan, then an unemployed carpenter, had charged up smoke-filled stairs, broken a door, and carried the medic to safety moments before rafters collapsed. The council now issued overdue commendation and an invitation to speak at a town meeting. Marie's hand trembled as she refolded the page. Ben entered, spoon in mouth, asking which envelope held the overdue library fee. Marie extended the letter without a word. Ben scanned it, then muttered, "Oh, that felt like ages ago. Never figured anyone kept record." Marie's voice cracked. "You never told me you saved Mr. Lewis." Ben shrugged, slipping the paper under a coaster. "A hero is just a neighbor with decent timing. No medal needed." Marie inhaled slowly, realizing her respect for him had only scratched the surface. Echoes of courage indeed, Marie thought. The apartment hummed with layers of unspoken valor. Later she found Ty at the table bending wire for a science diorama. She shared the story in hushed tones. Ty's eyes grew bright. "Dad never brags," he whispered, "but he always shows up." Marie adjusted one of his wire stars and replied, "Showing up is half the battle." Together they added a small cardboard firefighter helmet to the project as a private tribute. Snow returned that night, pelting the roof with soft drum beats. Marie lay on the couch staring at shadows. Threats of stipend cuts haunted her edges. Yet Ben's humble bravery echoed louder. Perhaps the answer was not waiting for assistance, but forging it. She pictured workshops filled with veterans building furniture, mentors guiding apprentices, laughter rising over power tools. She remembered Ben's suggestion and felt it expand inside her like sunrise warming frost. Courage was kindness multiplied. By action, she whispered that line to the stuffed penguin and drifted into her deepest sleep since deployment. In the morning, Marie brewed coffee strong enough to prop open planning doors in her mind. Ben shuffled in, yawning, and she greeted him with a question, "May I use your old shed as a drafting room?" Ben blinked, confused, then smiled wide. His nod carried faith beyond words. Zoe danced into the kitchen right on cue. She announced the mural was dry and magnificent. Marie knelt to eye level and said we might paint something even bigger very soon. Zoe squealed, "Bigger than mountains." Marie laughed, "Maybe as big as hope." The day unfolded with list-making, phone calls, and borrowed graph paper. Marie sketched a community workshop blueprint while Ben hammered nails into a new shelf. Each thud echoed the determination building between them. Echoes of courage traveled through cedar boards, kitchen laughter, grocery aisles, and veterans' councils, and though challenges loomed like unplowed streets, the rhythm of their combined courage promised a path forward, rugged yet real. The parting winter could not silence that melody, not while kindness marched in step with every brave heartbeat under the Rowan roof. Early sunlight crept across the quiet street and painted the Rowan apartment in pale gold. Spring birds chirped bold against the last hunks of melting snow. Inside the kitchen, Marie studied a stack of forms stamped approved, and her heartbeat drummed faster. Months of phone calls and blueprint sketches had settled into one clear fact. The city granted a vacant warehouse for her veteran workshop. Ben flipped pancakes while pretending not to glance at the papers. His grin betrayed him, though. Zoe bounced in her chair chanting "Hammer Day, Hammer Day." Ty lifted an eyebrow, but his smile curved anyway. A promise of new beginnings carried the scent of syrup and fresh hope. They spent the morning loading Ben's pickup with donated tools. Rusty saws clanked beside bright drills. Old carpenters dropped by to lend hammers. A retired mechanic offered stacks of safety goggles. Marie labeled every box in neat marker strokes. Courage Kit 1, Courage Kit 2. Neighbors waved from porches and handed sandwiches over fences. Kindness gathered like warm pollen on a breeze. At the warehouse, a faded sign read Taylor Textile Mill. Marie unlocked the squeaky door, and sunlight spilled across cracked concrete. Dust swirled like tiny dancers. Ben set his hand on her shoulder and whispered, "Let's make it alive again." Marie inhaled the promise and nodded. Inside, they mapped stations with chalk. Lumber cutting here. Computer desk there for resume help. Coffee corner by the old loading ramp. Zoe arranged stuffed penguin sentries at every doorway, insisting they guard happiness. Ty measured wall studs, then drilled sturdy shelves. Ben rewired overhead lights until amber bulbs blinked awake. Marie balanced on a ladder hanging a banner that read "Kindness is a force multiplier." Each task beat like a drum leading a hopeful march. By dusk, blisters formed, yet spirits soared. The warehouse now smelled of sawdust and determination. They locked up and agreed to rest. Tomorrow would be grand opening, flyers already sprinkled. Town like confetti, overnight clouds thickened, and a late snowstorm tumbled in sneaky. Wind howled through gutters and white blankets smothered streets. Morning news warned of dangerous travel. Marie stared at swirling flakes outside the apartment window and bit her lip. Ben poured coffee and shrugged shoulders that knew setbacks well. "We open anyway," he said. "If one person comes, it is enough." Zoe raced to her room and returned wearing a superhero cape. Ty grabbed his phone, ready to live stream. Marie felt her doubt melt beneath their belief. They loaded the truck. Tires groaned over slush, yet kept moving. At the warehouse parking lot sat two lonely cars and knee-high snowdrifts. Marie swallowed but unlocked the door. They flicked on lights and warm glow rippled into the storm like a lighthouse. Ty set his phone on a tripod and started broadcasting. "Hey town people, we are open, snow or shine. Veterans need community and pancakes. Come share both." At first, only digital hearts floated across the live stream screen. Then a plowed pickup arrived carrying Mr. Lewis. The retired medic stepped out with a grin and a slow salute. "Brought more coffee," he said. Soon another vehicle rolled in, and another. Neighbors with shovels carved paths. Children in bright coats hauled boxes of nails. A local bakery van delivered trays of cinnamon rolls, saying, "Pay us when you thrive." Inside, the workshop coats hung on improvised hooks. Tables filled with chatter. Marie guided volunteers through safety basics. Ben demonstrated cutting scrap lumber into birdhouse kits. Zoe handed each visitor a sticker that read "Kindness Crew." Ty interviewed veterans about their dreams and streamed their words live. Donations pinged on his screen faster than he could read. Snow still fell, yet the warehouse buzzed warmer than midsummer. Courage echoed off every wall. Marie caught Ben's eye across the room, and they shared a silent holy wow moment. Early afternoon, the mayor arrived, flanked by a local news crew. Cameras word as Marie explained mission goals. Provide hands-on work practice, offer counseling corner, build affordable furniture for families in need. The mayor shook her hand and announced a small city grant matching community donations. Applause boomed. Ben lifted Zoe onto his shoulders so she could cheer louder. Ty fist bumped Mr. Lewis before resuming camera duty. Momentum felt unstoppable as a river after ice thaw, yet challenges tested them. An overloaded breaker snapped and lights flickered. Marie sprinted to the fuse box, remembering field repairs under fire. Ben fetched spare wire, and together, they rewired in minutes. Laughter returned stronger than before. Next, a stack of donated plywood slipped. Ty dove to steady it, scraping his arm. Marie cleaned the wound with practiced gentleness while praising his reflexes. Obstacles became evidence of resilience. Each resolved problem fed the workshop's legend. As evening neared, snow clouds retired, revealing a peach sunset. The last visitor carried out a handmade stepping stool, beaming pride. Marie locked the door, then leaned against it, exhausted. Ben pressed a warm cup of cocoa into her hands. Zoe draped her superhero cape over Marie's shoulders, proclaiming official captain of kindness. Ty lifted the banner fallen from earlier and asked if they could hang it at home as reminder. Marie nodded, eyes bright. They climbed into the truck, ready to return to the apartment. But Mr. Lewis stopped them, waving a ring of keys. "These belong to the small apartment beside the workshop," he said. "City wants on-site caretaker. I told them you fit." Marie blinked, stunned, then squeezed her hand in silent celebration. Tears formed, yet froze halfway into giggles. A home beside a dream felt almost too perfect. Zoe asked if that meant 2 pancake kitchens. Marie laughed, yes, double syrup storage. Ty suggested turning their old couch into lobby seating so more stories could begin there. That night they stood in the dim, empty apartment next to the warehouse, walls echoing like blank pages. Marie traced window frames, imagining curtains fluttering in summer breeze. Ben promised to patch any cracks before furniture arrived. Zoe twirled happy dances on scuffed floorboards. Ty opened both windows wide, shouting "Thank you, universe," into the chilly air. Marie stepped onto the balcony and looked toward the Rowan apartment glowing down the block. She raised a gentle salute. Ben answered with his own. Zoe mirrored them, giggling, a chain of salutes linking past shelter to new horizon. Beneath the moon, Marie whispered gratitude for every choice that led to this vista. One winter bench, one tired dad, one simple invitation. "You're coming with me" had been the spark. Tonight that spark had ignited a beacon, and as snowmelt dripped from rooftops like soft applause, Marie felt certain that kindness, when set in motion, never truly stops. It multiplies, rolls forward, carves new paths, and plants seeds of courage wherever it rests. This was not an ending, but a wide, bright beginning, and tomorrow promised even more room for hope to spread its handmade wings.